Today we are going to do quite a simple dish, but something that I often cook at home, which is a chicken velouté. I'm also going to use a part of the chicken that's a little bit underrated, but the thigh and the leg is by far my favourite part. And then you get to take that oyster off with it. So you've got oyster, thigh and leg. And I've taken it off in a way that the skin has been left to cover it all really nicely. Very simply pull out your leg as much as you can and just take a little bit of the skin from the breast. Go around, nick out that oyster, get underneath that bone there, you can see, and then just follow it all the way down until she comes off. Easy peasy. There you've got a little chicken crown that you can use for your Sunday roast. Happy days. Got a little stock pot on the go always at Fallow, so we're just going to put those little bits that we don't use into stock, and then just take off these little nubbins as well. Oysters at the top, stunning thigh, stunning leg, liberally seasoned. Got a little bit of fine salt here. It's got a few bits of thyme in the mix. Cast iron pan on the go. Let it get to the point where you're going to start to get a really nice golden caramelization. With things like duck and fatty cuts of lamb, you can leave them in a cold pan until it gets hot, and then the fat renders out, which then cooks it. But with chicken, it's quite a lean meat, so in order not to completely overcook it, you want to cook it quite low and slow. If you cook it way too intensely, it can get a little bit dry. Make sure you've got a really nice even coverage. And then I'm just putting a little weight on top, and realistically there's not much I'm going to have to do to that for the next 10 minutes. So whilst that cooks, I'm just going to whip up a very simple velouté. There's a little bit of debate about what a velouté is, but it's essentially a roux which is then let down with the desired stock, so it's quite a generic thing really. Velouté is a foundational sauce, so it's one of Escoffier's foundational sauce, of which there are 5. So it is basic, it's the type of thing you learn in school, but it almost seems like it's a little bit extraterrestrial or hard to attain, but it's one of those things that's actually super simple. And if you can make a basic bechamel, you can easily make a delicious velouté. All a velouté is a roux which is then let down and thickened into a sauce by using stock, and then finishing with a touch of cream. Typically when you make a bechamel sauce or you make a mornay sauce, you don't want to get any colour on your butter, but with a roux it can actually add a little bit of depth to the sauce. Now flour goes in. Take it off the heat at this stage. You don't want that flour to burn, but that's what you want. That's sort of like almost like a sand consistency. Base to a roux should look like when the waves are hitting a beach. So you can sort of know what I mean by that. It's almost like that foamy, sandy consistency. I'll lightly cook that out for a minute, and then going in there now with my. This is a splash of white wine. This is optional and it's not a necessary part of the roux, and that'll start to work straight away and thickening that white wine. And then I've got my hot stock on here, so I'm just going to ladle in a few little bits of hot stock to get it going. I'm just taking that off just to emulsify into the sauce. I'm going to add that in stages as well, and you want it to be about the 5th roux to stop. Turn it the lowest it can go, and then I'm just going to add in a touch of cream into there, which is going to help it to emulsify. And also cream adds a load of sweetener. If you want the full recipe for this one, you can head to the description. Just as that sort of starts to come together, it's going to move to giving that a good whisk now. And you can see it's just slowly starting to thicken up. And in this case we can add a little bit more chicken stock, so we don't want it too thick. So extra stock goes in, a little bit more than you think you need, and then allow that to cook. There we go, and then we've got our chicken at the back there, super golden. I'm actually just going to turn that off now and allow it to cook using the residual heat from the cast iron, and that'll cook all the way through to the bone. It'll be perfect, nice and juicy. Just for seasoning, I'm just going to add 2 bay leaves. Cooks down, I'm just going to add a herb which I absolutely love, which is tarragon. What do they call it in America? Estragon? Maybe tell us in the comments. Very traditional with chicken. Mild aniseed, but really fragrant, like cross between chervil and parsley, I guess. But it is quite a specific flavour that works really well with chicken. This has been bubbling away now for at least 5-6 minutes, and it should be this really beautiful consistency that kind of like almost, you know, traces the back of your maurice or spoon. Whenever with sauces, we always say that this is the finish to the sauce. So a good little tip is take out a portion of the base for the velouté. Mustard contains quite a lot of vinegar, like a fresh acidity. So you really don't want to cook mustard once it's gone in there. It's important that it retains that freshness. And if you add mustard into a sauce directly, especially Dijon, you get quite a lot of clumps. It's also important to mention Dijon is actually a thickening agent. Some of the ingredients in a mustard actually help to thicken up a sauce. So what I've done is added a bit of stock, I've mixed it up so it forms what we call a slurry, which is a horrible word to just say, sort of like a thick paste that can then get incorporated nicely. I'm going to add in that mustard back into the sauce. I mean, I love it with a good hit of mustard. Yeah, really, to be honest, this sauce is so versatile. You can change it. If you've got a dislike for tarragon, just change it for something else. If you don't like the mustard, put a little bit less in there. It can really be whatever you want for pretty much lots of different occasions. I'm going to hit mine with a little bit of black pepper at the end. And yeah, there we go. I mean, that's it. It's so simple. Nice, easy sauce with fish, meat. Good hit of lemon juice at the end. We often get comments about, oh, who has big pans of stock? At home, I would just use a stock cube and just let it down. There's no stigma about using stock cubes at all. I think stock cubes are delicious. I'm just going to keep it rolling for a little bit longer. It needs to hit 72 degrees. So just with chicken, always important to give it a good probe. Right, so I've got a little bit of burnt lemon here. Leg and thigh. Sauce, so it should hold its shape when it hits the plate. Now, you don't want it to be too loose, because if you think, every time you cut a bit of that chicken, you want it to coat the meat. Adding a little bit of fresh pepper to the chicken leg, salt. If you add some greens or some vegetables, you could lay them on the bottom. But simply as a sort of centerpiece for your Sunday roast, or just keep it simple. Lemon in the middle. So this is one of the foundational sauces. If you want to go on a journey of discovery to find the other 4 foundational sauces of French cooking, I'm more than happy to take you. Like and subscribe.